All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. I'm, of course, Gregor Guy, joined here by Mr. Casey and Mr. Cuz, and we will present our next iteration of Banghead STEM. So, I'll toss it over to you, Cuz. What we going to talk about?
Well, today's topic, we're going to talk about psilocybin and treatment for clinical depression.
Ooh, okay, interesting. Mushrooms are great, kids. Might have to cut that out.
At certain doses.
might have to cut that out.
Not all the time, but just every now and then.
All right. So I want to start off with the company or the treatment facility that's doing this study.
Okay.
All right. So they're called Compass Pathways Treatment Facility, and the head guy is Guy Goodwin. He is the chief medical officer. He's the one basically where I got all my information from.
Good.
Okay, so in this study they had, I don't know how many people, but the highest dose they used was 25 milligrams. And then they also gave people 10 milligrams. And then they gave people 1 milligram, which they equated to the placebo effect. And what they found out with the 25 milligrams is that it put clinical depression into remission 3 months after taking psilocybin. So one dose, I guess you could say, kept them from suicidal thoughts and sadness mentally from just one day of taking 25 milligrams.
Taking 25 milligrams every day over the course of 3 months.
No, just one dose. One dose. There was only one case.
So it was one dose 3 months later? They
still had remission.
Okay.
And there was only one case so far that they said that the patient got worse with suicidal thoughts.
I would have to assume also that would depend on the patient.
The patient
Correct.
and what their life is like, you know what I mean? Like
Their situation.
Their situations, yeah. And the placebo effect, the patients actually got worse. So they didn't know they were only taking 1 milligram. Right, so they thought they were getting the same dosage as the 25 milligram people. But their clinical depression got worse and their suicidal thoughts and all also got a lot worse as well. Along with...
Do we know how, because you said that there was like 5 milligrams and 10 milligrams? Or
There
was
was
it just 10 milligrams?
25, 10, and 1.
Okay, 10. The 10 milligrams. Do we know what effect?
It had the same effect as the placebo effect.
On the 10 milligrams?
And the 10 milligrams.
Okay. So 25 was the only one that was proven to be effective. Okay. All right.
Pretty interesting, isn't
it? It is. If you don't mind, can I...
Yeah. Question.
You have tried that, lion's mane stuff before? Correct?
Yeah, but it's different. It's different than the actual...
Right.
Like,
but, I mean, do you know what kind of, milligrammage they have in there?
without looking at the bottle,
Okay.
I don't know.
I was just curious.
I tried.
Did it improve your suicidal thoughts?
It didn't have anything to do with... it didn't have anything to do with like a mood changing.
Yeah.
Right. It's used for other disorders too.
Yeah, lion's mane is for memory, to fire the neurons in your brain and help it build and keep
memory.
Keep memory like.
So he's using it for a different purpose.
Yeah.
Than what we're
Right.
But it's not the same thing.
It's
not the
curious
same
as
thing
to
at
what
all.
the dosage
Have any
was.
suicidal thoughts?
I don't know. Anyway,
I feel like throughout anybody's life, every single person on the face of the earth at some point has some type of suicidal thought.
Right. Everybody has low points.
Right.
But this is for specifically clinical depression.
right. Specifically trying to figure out a treatment.
Treatment-resistant depression.
I'd say it's a big leap, personally, in my opinion, to think it and do it.
Yeah. Takes commitment.
I don't know if commitment. It takes a certain amount of desperation and hopelessness to get to that point. I mean, everybody, like I said, everybody has those moments where they thought about it, and those low points they've had desperation or hopelessness.
That's one thing to think about,
Yeah.
and then another thing to act on it.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because there's people that you run out of hope. You run out of believing that anything's ever going to get better. There's like no bright spot in your life to think about reason not to.
Fair enough.
My biggest question with this research is, how does psilocybin alter the brain, like actually alter the brain to make people less depressed? You know what I mean? Like, how is it?
That would be a question for Guy Goodwin, I assume.
Yeah.
That was his name, correct?
If he even knows, because they're studying it. And I even have right here that they need to research more data and do more questionnaires on people with suicidal thoughts. So in other words, after they before and after, I'm guessing, they take the psilocybin and they give them a questionnaire paper and they fill it out.
And okay, also on top of that, how many of them are really realistically filling it out? Honestly,
Right.
Right.
And
So-
I didn't see anything about psychiatrists or psychologists involved in this to evaluate the people.
ah, well, that's interesting.
Right. So they're going off of what everybody says personally off these questionnaires, from what I was gathering. So there's still a lot of holes in the research.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Because I know for one, I would take it with a grain of salt if someone filled out a questionnaire instead of being like literally evaluated.
Things like mood and how you feel. A lot of people are more like actors than they are about being truthful. I think when it comes to like deep emotional thoughts
Right.
and ideas, a lot of people are more guarded.
Most people don't understand emotions when they have
That's
them,
true,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, also, on top of that, how many times have someone asked you, hey, how you doing today? And you're just like, yeah, I'm okay.
Right.
I'm
right.
good. When you're just in the back of your head going, God, I don't want to be fucking talking to you right now.
Every day.
So you are fake nice sometimes.
Yeah. I try and keep my life as simple as possible, man.
You have to be fake nice.
And like I said, and when you're
And if you say you don't do it, and you say you don't do it,
I already admitted.
I know that's bullshit too.
I already admitted.
I do it on occasion, but most of the time
I already admitted that I do it, but you're basically in a way, well, you're kind of protecting yourself, but you're being fake nice because you know whatever you say, you're saying the thing that will make that interaction as short as possible.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you
Yes.
just move along
Yeah.
because you don't want to be bothered.
Go about your humdrum day.
Yep.
Okay.
Less headaches.
Yes, because if you say something else, there might be a follow-up question, and you do not want to go along with it.
Yeah. It's kind of like if someone said, "How you doing?" Be like, "Life fucking sucks," and then all of a sudden, this person's gonna be like,
And all of a sudden, you're talking to that
Yeah.
motherfucker for the next
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Well,
now all of a sudden you have a therapy session.
if you really don't like that person, there's a possibility they may never ask you how you're doing ever again, because now they know that they'll have to sit there in a 40-minute conversation about you complaining about your life.
That's a good way of looking at it.
That's an interesting counterpoint. We'll do that. All right, do we have any more information on this study?
The research here's a good thing about the stock market with this company.
Okay.
So when they did this and they came out with these results,
Mm-hmm.
the investors in this Compass Pathways treatment facility stock dropped 16.4% because the investors apparently were afraid of the side effects because of the couple people that that had suicidal thoughts, and the placebo effect, and then the one. So the investors pulled out and ended up dropping 16.4%.
I can see that. Another possibility is maybe that they were invested in, marijuana grow facilities.
They probably already were.
Well, I would think that the investors more being. I mean, there is a fear that when you're dealing with people that have suicidal thoughts and they do go through with it, and they come back and sue. They sue you not because they.
Well, the person isn't suing; it's going to be their family.
Right, the family's suing, and they're opening themselves up to liability.
That's possible, but I'm sure whatever lawyers they have
Yeah,
working for them, they had a pretty strong,
I'm sure there was consent forms.
Yeah,
right.
I would have to assume that they covered themselves as far as that. But 16.4%.
Yeah.
Do we know how long this study lasted?
I did not see that. I mean, it's still going on, obviously, because they want to keep going and get into more detail. The fact that their stock dropped after this came out.
Well, realistically, people got scared.
They got scared.
That's what happened. In my opinion.
But there's also a lot of other people doing this research. It's not just this company. There is a lot of psychiatrists out there that do believe that psilocybin helps. And a lot of people in our generations are more open to the psilocybin treatment plans. I mean, look at this isn't psilocybin, but you got the ayahuasca, where people go on in that little spiritual place. And
I've heard about this.
Yeah. Like somebody that's addicted to heroin or something, they'll go to these places for like 3 days and they'll just trip their balls off
You
in
might
a
think,
controlled area.
You might think that it's also could be like a timing thing as well. At this time, since we have high inflation, there might be just people investing less or taking money out of certain things and putting it into others just because of the way the economy is going at the time too.
That's true. I mean, it didn't really specify why
Right.
the stock dropped. So it just can't. It just happened to be at the same time that this.
A lot of things that people are suffering, and science could be one of them, just because there's everybody's trying to protect themselves because there's a lot of fear about how the economy in the world is going, which could be adding to the suicidal thoughts of some people.
Right.
Also.
Right.
So it's a cycle.
So maybe they need more science. Everybody's going to be tripping.
Or maybe they just need more psilocybin.
Right.
Anyway, good?
Yeah, and that's...
Okay. All right, well, there we go. Banghead stem, the medicinal benefits as far as mood, behavior of psilocybin, clinical depression. Very interesting. Well, thank you there, Cuz, for putting that together.
Yes, sir.
I'm, of course, Greg Guy, joined here also by Mr. Casey. Banghead stem. Another one in the books.
Did you learn anything?